You are listening to Shameless Stories, and I'm Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press, soul-led publishing company for magical women writing world-changing books. And we are delighted to be the sponsor of this podcast. So enjoy, magical one.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Shameless Stories, the podcast that lifts the lid on shame and takes people's stories and showcases them from a place of power. And I'm really excited to introduce to you, I need to put my teeth in this morning, clearly, introduce you to Sophia Lorraine, who is a belief coding coach, life coach, hypnotherapy. I'm going to start again because that was hot. Right, let's just have a bit of fun with this. Right, hot flush attacks. Okay. Right. Hello and welcome to Shameless Stories, the podcast that lifts the lid on shame and showcases stories from a place of power. Today I am joined by the gorgeous Sophia Lorraine, who is going to tell us a little bit about her story. Sophia, is it correct you are a belief coding coach?
Yeah, belief coding facilitator and spiritual life coach.
Amazing. I mean, I've heard a little bit about belief coding, and I know that there's some really powerful techniques that happen as a belief coder. You're able to literally reframe everything and come from this powerful place. Tell me a little bit about kind of your journey to becoming a belief coder and hypnotherapist and kind of what led you to that point. Love to know.
Okay, so I split up with my husband in my early 30s, so just over 4.5 years ago. And I kind of didn't see it as a big deal. I thought I was independent, strong, and going to show him that things were going to get to me. And I was really keen to start a property business. I've always been into property developing, is something that my grandparents have always done. And so I did some property training, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to start up my own property business.
Amazing.
Alongside I was a social housing manager alongside my job. And then soon after trying to start my own business was I just felt really underconfident. I did not know, I couldn't even pick up a phone to an estate agent. The fear and the overwhelm and the negative self-talk and self-doubt just stopped me in my tracks with that business, basically. And then stuff went on. I was going through divorce proceedings, and things were really bad between me and my ex. He was very it was a very manipulative situation, and we were fighting over a property that we took on together before we separated. And we had 4 children between us. We had our 3 biological children, and we had his niece, who I had adopted since she was 6, and this was when she was about 12. Through trying to manage them on my own, start this dream property business, still be a social housing manager, and go through this horrible divorce proceedings, fighting over the house and in court around the children access as well. Everything just took an absolute toll on me, and I ended up having an absolute mental health breakdown, to the point where, I self-harmed at one point, which I go further into in my book. I won't discuss too much of that now. And then what really done it for me is that during our divorce proceedings over the house, is my ex-husband took our niece, without any conversation. He took our niece to go and live with him without any warning that she wasn't coming home. I expected the kids to come home from the weekend, and when my 2 children got out of the car, our niece didn't get out of the car, and I was like, where is she? And he just grinned and said, "Oh, she doesn't want to live with you anymore," and that just absolutely shattered my world. After like a year of already just trying to keep my head above water and just pretend that anything he was doing towards me wasn't affecting me, that was really like the final straw that just completely knocked me off my feet. It was like, because I knew once he had convinced her to go and live with him that she wouldn't be coming back to me. Like once he'd convinced her that I was the bad one, I knew there was no going back from when she'd left our house. So that had huge impact on like my mental health, on our finances, on my children were confused that Lily's lived with us for 6 years and now suddenly she doesn't.
Yeah.
It just put me in a really, really bad place. I'd already struggled with my mental health most of my adult life anyway. There's been mental health run through my family, and I've always been on and off antidepressants. So this was like absolute breaking point for me, losing her, and I just did not know where I was going to come from this. I was already signed off work sick for a couple of months whilst I was going through my divorce. My work were really understanding, really supportive. And that very next day after I lost my niece, I was due to go back to my full-time manager's role. And I got on the Zoom call with my boss, absolute in floods of tears, saying what had happened the day before regarding my niece. And they said that I couldn't return to work in the state that I was in. And so I had to step down from my manager's role. I had to take a huge pay cut. They put me on a lower salaried role, part-time. So everything just changed for me overnight. And I just did not know where I was going to put myself or how I was going to manage, how I had debts that were once affordable to then suddenly, like, I didn't have the income to be paying for it. Like, everything just changed. And so I was in this like dark depression hole full of anxiety for a couple of weeks, and it was all a bit of a blur. My mum actually had to come and live with me for a few weeks because I literally couldn't cope on my own. And then one night I came across this thing online of the belief coding, and it was saying like how transformative it was, and I did the free workshop, and just something instantly shifted in me just from the free workshop, that I was like, okay, I think this is for me. And yeah, so that's when I started my healing journey. That was my first point. And so doing belief coding, you're working with your subconscious mind and getting to the roots of what your triggers are, where the anxiety stems from, the depression. And within 2 months of doing this work on myself, I completely come off antidepressants. And that was nearly 3 years ago now, and I have not felt depressed since. Like, I still sometimes have anxiety, but that's because I'm always doing things now that I'm pushing myself outside my comfort zone. So sometimes anxiety still creeps in, but that's because I'm always thriving towards new things that are challenging me. So it's not the same anxiety that sends you down in that like depression.
Yeah.
And then when I saw how powerful it was for me, I then trained to become a facilitator and coach, and I started working with clients. And first I was still skeptical of working with clients because I was like, how could I help others? I know it's helped me, but I was still skeptical. But then I was able to really have shifts and transformations with the women I was working with. And also one of the biggest things that I've started to notice is one of the things is obviously shame. Like, so all of us, but so many women that I've worked with, one of the underlining roots of anxiety or their depression is feeling shame around something, whether that's been abuse from a partner or sexual abuse, and that creates our spirals our mental health. and leads us into negative behaviors and patterns of behavior. So yeah, that's that's where I got started basically.
Wowzers. Like, just to take a moment just to sit with that story you've just shared, like, first of all, you've been through so much, and thank you for sharing that with me and the listeners. It just goes to show that even when you're in the reeds of it and you're in rock bottom, you can find a way back out again. And like, I would, every time you said something, I was like, yeah, there's shame around that story. Oh, there's shame around that story. Like, we all, women in particular, women around like partners. I've had 2 interviews with recently with who've talked about their narcissistic partners and how they shamed them. Like, there's this masculine kind of energy that kind of thrives on shaming women and making us feel inferior or not good enough or whatever it may be. It just triggers something inside you. And the fact that you've now found something that has enabled you to let go of those triggers and identify, like, sometimes it's even just easy just to, once you know what it is, you can kind of recognize it coming.
Yeah. So
wowzers. Oh, kids.
Yeah, so for me, I carried a lot of the blame for what happened in our marriage.
Right.
I would say for a while, like, oh, we were both as bad as each other, and I kind of took a lot of the blame. And it's only recently, since I've been writing my book, which I didn't know what I was going to write about when I got asked to write this book. But when I like channeled into my guides and was like, what am I meant to be writing about? Just all this stuff come up from my marriage and what I've been through. And now, like, and I was kind of writing it, but now I've read it as like a third person kind of thing. And now I can see, like, oh my gosh, like, I carried so much of the blame and shame for our marriage breakdown, but the things that I got put through and went through, like, it's just not okay. And now I think that writing that in itself has been a healing process for me as well, because I've been able to release the fact that actually I wasn't to blame for that. I was in a very toxic relationship with someone who was very manipulative and mentally abusive. And so I've been able to release a lot of that. I thought I'd already worked on a lot of it when I first started my healing journey, but yeah, writing it out as well has been another level of healing and looking at it from a different perspective.
It does give you some distance between you and the story, doesn't it? And even probably sitting here talking to me today, there'll be another layer of coming away from what the story that we carry, these stories with us, whether it's something that was deep rooted as a child, like you say, like you had a little bit of mental health in the family, these things, it could be that something happened when you were a child, and it just like I've had another guest on who felt she had to stay with her narcissistic partner because he told her that she'd be nothing without him. You know what I mean? It's kind of
exactly that. Yeah, that kept me in that relationship for years longer. I genuinely believed I would be nothing without him, because I didn't have contact with my family for the last few years of our marriage. So literally all I had was him, his family, and his friends. I had nobody of my own. So I had a deep-rooted belief that I would be nobody if I left him. But it got so bad that I was willing to take that risk and be nobody, then be in that relationship with him. And then from that, I have proved that, you can rebuild from that. I'm definitely not a nobody.
No.
But I've got on my new path of being a coach. I've been able to help many other women transform their lives. I now run a dance school as well. So I've got another business. So I've got dance school where we've got over 100 dance students. So that's a business that I run with my 2 daughters. And yeah, I'm now an author. So definitely, if you have that belief that you'll be nobody without them, like I am a walking, talking example of you can be whoever you want to be once you're out of that relationship. And
oh, that's so cool. Like, so you're you've got a business with your daughters. That's so beautiful. So is it kids dance or grown? Is it like?
yeah, it's street dancing. So
Oh, that's so cool. And like, celebrating you and the fact that you've turned your life around. It's like you managed to shift it so quickly. You said like it was within a couple of months that you'd started to understand what the roots of the issues were. I mean, would you share a little bit about some of the things that you reframed or you belief coded away? I'm not sure what the right terminology is.
Yeah, so I've used a lot of healing tools, and I've gone on this huge, like, my spiritual awakening journey as well, which has been really powerful. So it's about coming back to you and shedding the conditioning from society, our parents, our upbringings, our ex-partners, and just really tuning in to who you are, what your values and beliefs are. And very soon after I started figuring all this out, I literally couldn't stay in my employment anymore because it just didn't align with my true self.
Yep.
And so some of the things that I first worked on was, like, I have worked on feelings of shame around sex as well. So in my relationship, sex was always an issue. I didn't feel comfortable sometimes, but then that was because of his behavior as well. There was always friction. So by doing belief coding and other healing modalities, I've been able to heal like historic bad experiences of sexual stuff. So now my relationship around and my understanding around sex has changed, so that when I do go into a new relationship, I can have a more healthier attitude about it.
Yeah. Is that healing the lines in this lifetime and other lifetimes when you talk like that? Because you can go full on woo when we talk.
Yeah. Yeah, funny enough, so I have gone back to past lifetimes, and I have been shown an experience of like rape and having this is going to sound weird to things out with your guess, but I've been shown having a baby, giving birth and having a baby ripped away from me and taken away, and that vision has come up several times from a past life.
Yeah.
And then that has actually happened to me in this lifetime as well. When I had my first pregnancy, I miscarried it just after 14 weeks.
Oh,
And
no.
I didn't realize that the placenta and stuff was still inside me. Like after I lost the baby, no one told me that there was still stuff in me. So a week later, I got rushed into hospital, and it was horrific. I had to have the remains of that pregnancy removed from me, and it was horrific.
Yeah.
But then I keep being shown a vision that happened in a past life as well, and we repeat the patterns until we heal them. Yeah. So now I believe I've healed that, and I've healed it from a past life as well.
But you can't, I mean, just so you know, on here, I've had people talking about dragons and all kinds. Our listeners are open to anything. And I love the fact that you've gone back and you've like lent into past life healing, because that's something that helped me. I had similar situation with a healer, and I was shown things, and I think we're all here. I feel like there's a generation that are here to break the cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Break the cycle.
When I first got into this and they were talking about past life stuff, I was like, what? I was like, I'm not dealing with I'm like, no, that's not for me. I was really skeptical. And then one of my first clients who came to me, she wasn't spiritual at all. She didn't know anything about past lives. And when I did the process with her, what was coming up was that it was so her ix was that she felt really anxious whenever her mother-in-law had her kids.
Yeah.
So if her kids were being picked up by her mother-in-law after school, she would go into complete anxiety, panic attack mode. She hated her kids not being with her. She was okay in school hours, but as soon as she knew, and it was ruining her life because she couldn't have any time for herself. Like, it was great that she had a mother-in-law that would take her kids, but she didn't have any time for herself. So that's what she wanted to work on.
Yeah.
And what came up was that she was in a fire in her past life, and her kids were in the house fire. And so through the process, we supported her to put out the house fire and rescue the children from that house. So it's about reframing the memory. So our subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. So it'll just remember the bad thing. But you can go back and reframe the story so that your subconscious mind remembers a new version of that story. So we put out this fire in her past life, and then after the session, I thought, what the heck was all that about? And I didn't have any faith in it working. A few days later, she texted me like, "Oh my God, Sophia," she's like, "I feel completely different. My mother-in-law took the kids, and I can't remember what she'd done, but she felt completely different." And then she saw the shift so much that she then became like a longer term client and worked on other things. But even I didn't have faith at the start in that actually working and changing her reality in this life.
That's amazing. I mean, it's just so powerful. It just goes to show how powerful the belief coding is. I mean, I've heard it very briefly. I've seen Jessica on social media, but I've never met anyone who's actually using it with clients. And it's fascinating that you've been able to do that in sessions. Tell me more. I want to know more.
So where I find I get the biggest, what I love doing the most, and I've had this for me, is so when clients come to me, they say like, "Oh, I'm doing this because of this." They consciously believe that their behavior is due to something that they remember, but it always stems way back further than that. And so the most transformative sessions I've had with clients is when we go back to the womb. Right. Because we hold a lot of our mother's emotions. And so when we work on memories from the womb, that's when my clients have been able to release like a huge amount of low self-esteem or shame or guilt. Because when our mum's pregnant with us, if they've experienced a bad pregnancy, and then as a fetus, we take on the guilt and shame that our mum has experienced that bad, like traumatic pregnancy.
Yeah, it always makes me like, being a mum of two girls myself, it's still like makes me, I don't know if other people feel this, but I still think, oh my God, have I broken them somehow? Because this is how I did something, this is what I was doing at the time. And I guess what would be lovely, I mean, I'm guessing there is nothing beyond repair. Would you agree?
Yeah. No, now that we're on the journey of healing this, I definitely have caused my kids some trauma as well, that they need to go on their own healing journey. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, who's now 17, her dad, my kids have all got the same dad, my ex-husband, but when I got pregnant with her, he left me for 2.5 years. When I was 4 months pregnant, he denied the baby was his. He didn't want to have anything to do with the pregnancy. So during my pregnancy with her, I was in complete like anxiety, depression, like fear of worrying. So she's obviously absorbed all that.
Oh wow.
And it shows now she has autism, and she's a very naturally anxious person. So at some like I do say to her, like, there's things that we can do to help you, but at the moment, being a teenage girl, they're not interested in this woo-woo stuff. So I have to wait for her to take her own journey. But I do realize now that the way she is, if I had had a healthy, happy pregnancy, like, I'm pretty sure she would be a different person to what she is.
But that is so, isn't that so amazing that now you can see how not only have you got the tools to help yourself and kind of break the cycle, but you've also got the tools to help your own child, which I think, you know, that's changing someone's world, isn't it? I mean, how powerful is that? And like when you're meeting with other clients and then go and, you know, they're then heal it, it's the ripple effect, isn't it? I love the fact that when we start to heal ourselves, we actually do start to heal those people around us. And you know,
Yeah.
that you have, like, wow, just I think we just have to applaud ourselves for, you know, the fact that we're conscious of it.
Yeah.
But and then, you know, we will be able to help them heal it as well. And I think that's another thing. It's like there's so much happening at the moment that, you know, like you say, they have got to find their own path, but having the knowledge and the tools that perhaps previous generations didn't have, that already can help kind of smooth the playing field or whatever, or the journey that we're on. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Any other stories that want to come through?
Yeah, just so I believe it's helped with my middle daughter as well. So my children aren't open to working directly with them, but from an energetic level, I have been working on my 13-year-old who's been struggling with her mental health as well. So it's about looking at your own beliefs about yourself and know that you mirror that into your children. So that's why it's so important to do the work on yourself and look at what beliefs you're holding about yourself, because your children don't, you know, they mirror you. So, and they listen to the way you speak about yourself. So you can tell them that they're beautiful. But if you're looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you're not, you know, that you're not worthy or you're not beautiful or you're carrying a lot of negative emotions, that's what your kids are going to pick up on. They're not going to pick up on the things you say to them. They're going to pick up on the things you say to yourself and the way that you carry yourself across. So part of my coaching and work with women is to ensure that women embody that self-love and self-compassion so that that can have that positive ripple effect on their children. I feel quite sorry for my kids because they're in right conflict between me and my ex-husband, because I'm very big on self-love and I like proudly promote it, but my ex-husband is complete opposite and thinks it's you know, he'll say to the kids like, oh, your mum just thinks so much of herself, and making the kids believe that it's wrong to, and it just, they're in conflict all the time because they don't know whether they should be loving themselves or not. I'm like, why wouldn't you want your kids to love themselves?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're in two very different extremes. So I'm trying to I've just got to keep standing strong and demonstrate that there's nothing wrong in loving yourself. Like, that's the key to true happiness, because once you can love and believe in yourself, you're able to then attract the right things into your life that you want to bring in.
Yeah. And I mean, like you say, you're a case in point for that, aren't you? You've changed your whole life, you know, from where you were to where you are. And I think, I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? Why would you want someone to stay in a state of fear and shame? Like, I can only think of it being a power thing. And also like the fact that that I do feel for some of these guys. Like, I know that I don't know him, but I know that he put you through hell, but also there must be something inside him that made him that way, that he, you know, they're choosing the other path. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. I've just got to look at it, where he's come from, and I've got an understanding of why he is the way he is, and I've just got to give him compassion and love, and I love and respect him as the father of my children, and just do my best to keep my distance from him now for the sake of my own protection.
Yeah.
And setting the example to the kids as well, that if someone's not going to treat you okay, then it's okay to not talk to them and put boundaries in place.
Yeah.
For years, I've tried to be amicable with him and hope that we'll get into this good place. But when somebody doesn't do the work on themselves, and they're, showing traits of narcissistic behavior, the only thing you can do is take a step back and put boundaries in place and look after yourself.
Yeah.
And that demonstrates to your children that it's not okay to be treated like that, because the last thing I want is for them to get into a relationship where they're treated and made to feel that it's okay to be treated badly or spoken to badly.
That's it, isn't it? It's like, it's all, I think that's the thing that I see is sometimes our spouses treat us in one way, but then they'll treat their children better. But what the children recognize is where they'll see the modeling that's happening between in a relationship. And that's the thing. It's like it's great, like you say, you can tell, like you were saying earlier, like you can tell someone that they're beautiful and they're loved and all of this, but if they see that not being modeled, they're seeing something else, then that's what they believe. There's an element of, you kind of, well, that was modeled to me. That's how our children learn, isn't it? That, like you say, it's about the modeling that goes on around us.
Yeah, so they pick up on the behavior that they witness. So for my son, for example, he's 8, and so he sees how his dad behaves towards me and speaks about me. So at the moment, I'm going through a stage where my son has a lot of anger and resentment towards me.
Yeah.
But I've got to consistently show him that I love him, and just know that the behavior that's coming out of him is being mirrored from his dad. And I've got to
That's hard.
Yeah. So and it is really upsetting to see, because like, why wouldn't you want your child to be happy and love both, and know that it's okay to love both of your parents? But at the moment, I'm seeing in my son that he feels it's not okay to love me because his dad doesn't. His dad thinks X, Y, and Z about me. So as a child, you're subconsciously drawn to pick a side, the same as what happened with my niece. She was made to pick a side.
Yeah. Wow. I was going to say, what kinds of clients do you tend to work with? Is it women who've been going through similar situation to you, or?
Yeah, so I've worked with women. I've worked with women with all different walks of path, actually, because the core root is the feeling of that they don't feel good enough. They want to change their life. They want to maybe create a business, or a lot of women that I've worked with have got like a side hustle business but haven't had that confidence to fully launch it and advertise it, or they've got blocks around money. So I work with women on their, first and foremost is their self-worth and inner confidence.
Yeah.
And then support them to whether that's to go on to find a new healthy relationship or start a new business, and earn more money. Because once your inner confidence increases, you've got the capacity to attract all these new things into your life. Working around money has been a huge one as well. So like I said, I was in a really bad financial place at the start. So working on my beliefs around money has been hugely transformative as well. Because if we want to change our lives, we have to change our relationship with money as well, because we've been living in an old paradigm of we live in lack of money and there's not enough money for everybody, when there's never been as much money in the world as there is today. And we all have the access to tap in to change our beliefs and earn more money if we align our beliefs to that.
I love that. I'm gonna have to go check it out. Fall in love with money.
Yes, you need to have a good relationship with money, like if you want to change life.
I love
I absolutely love working on money blocks with clients. So.
Sounds amazing. Like it's just the transformation from where you were to where you are. Like that's just, I want some. So how can people find you? And you talked about a book. So when's your book coming out? I'm excited.
So the book launches on the 1st of May.
Okay.
So
in all the usual places.
Yeah. Do you know what? That hasn't been clarified yet, but yeah, it will be on my website or my Facebook page. My Facebook's Sophia Lorraine. My website is sophiafullpotentialcoaching.com.
Right.
And so the book is called She Reclaims, She Rises, She Empowers. So there's 10 of us that have all put a chapter in. Mine's around my narcissistic relationship with my ex-husband. There's chapters in there about ADHD in your midlife ADHD, and there's several, 10 different stories so there'll be a story in there that each and every one of your listeners can relate to, I'm sure. And there's lots of powerful insights into what tools we've used to help us transform our lives.
That sounds amazing. Wow.
Yes. Never in a million years did I think I'd become an author, especially because I have dyslexia, never got any GCSEs at school. So
oh God, no, you just throw that one in.
So to become an author as well, literally, if you have that belief, you'll be nothing. If you leave your marriage, that's just complete nonsense.
Yeah, so you can totally change your life if you only just believe it that you can, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
There's work in progress to just believe in it. Yeah, obviously you have to get to the roots of your beliefs. But yeah.
Oh no, I love that. Any final nuggets of wisdom you want to leave with the listeners before we wrap up?
Okay, so yeah, if you have come out of a relationship, I know what it's like to struggle as a single mom and believe that like that's it for you. Like you absolutely can turn things around. I have free resources on my website, and you put your boundaries in place, practice your self-love. You are worthy of love and respect, but that has to come from within first. You can't expect others to love and respect you if you haven't got that for yourselves first.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show, Sophia. It's just
thank you, Sarah.
Like your story is so powerful. Like wow, like oh my God.
I hope I hadn't scared anyone off with the woo-woo stuff. But
no, there's never any like it's anything goes on this show. It's all about bringing it to talking about things that might have been perceived as shameful in the past, but we're now all about being shameless. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I'm like, what? Why do we need to feel shame? My kids get embarrassed all the time so easily, and I'm like, who cares? Like, who cares?
Yeah, especially in the world that we live in with the screens and everything. Everything's about appearances, isn't it? It's like we don't need to care so much about what everybody else thinks, but I feel
once you release that shame and the fear and just step into who you really are, like it just dissolves and your life can just change.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, thank you for joining me today on the show. I'll put all the details people can find you in the show notes. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. It's been lovely.
It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, let's see how your book goes. And if you have any questions for Sophia, please do drop them over and we will forward them on. Thanks again.
Amazing. Thank you. Bye-bye.